правда, что летать на самолете дешевле, чем на машине?
No, that's not true. It's actually a lot more expensive. So you gotta pay the rent for the aircraft. So it's roughly equates about 220 per hour to rent with fuel included. So yeah, it is more expensive. It's really expensive to own an airplane. So owning an airplane is a bit more expensive.
It's good. Второй вопрос. Насколько сложно освоить навигацию?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so it depends what kind of navigation, right? So I have this app right here. So I'm using an app called ForFlight. So that pretty much tells me everything: the weather, the speeds. I can do all the planning. But yeah, you have to go through what's called a ground school in order to get your private pilot license. So that's where you learn the basics. That's where you learn to navigate using this thing right here, right? The charts. So this is the old school way. This is my kind of a backup chart. In case this fails and my iPhone fails, I can still navigate. And then also there's what's called a GNS. We have two of them. They're GPS powered devices. I could navigate back to this airport using all three methods.
На какой высоте летает частный самолет?
This one is not pressurized, so typically you can go up to 8,000 feet. It really depends on the cloud coverage and depends if you're flying visually or if you're flying with your instruments. So I'm VFR rated only, so today we were flying at 2,000 feet, but typically you can go up to 3,500 and above, right, depending on which direction you fly.
Yeah, it's good. Следующий. Есть опасность частного самолета столкнуться с дроном и последствия?
Yeah, that's a big issue. So I actually had something happened to me, right? So when I was flying in downtown Toronto, the city tower, who we've been talking to today, actually advised me that there was an unknown object, most likely a drone at my altitude, near me. So I was looking out for it, and it's really hard to spot them. And a lot of drone owners just don't understand the implications when they buy the drone. They don't understand the laws, right? So they can't go higher than 400 feet, and some people actually do go higher, and that's a big threat. So I've seen some videos where the drone can hit an airframe and damage it substantially. So that could be an emergency landing, So that's a problem.
Почему раньше можно было курить в самолете, а сейчас нельзя?
I guess it's the same reason applies to the fact that you can't smoke anywhere else, right? I mean, you have to smoke. You can only smoke what is it, 50 meters away from the building, right? So it's mostly for the health of the other passengers, because on the commercial aircraft there's air that's always circulating. So obviously when you smoke, all those chemicals, they circulate in the cabin, and it dries up, and it's really bad for you. Obviously on this aircraft it's no smoking period, just because it's a fire hazard. So there's no ashtrays here, right? So but on commercial aircraft there's ashtrays. Yeah. But yeah, there's absolutely no smoking on this one.
Как можно облететь турбулентность?
You don't. You have to. First of all, you need to understand how severe it is. So typically on a windy day, on a hot day, it gets pretty severe. So you have to just fly through it, and think of it as like swimming in the ocean with waves, right? So as waves go through, you just kind of float with them. You don't want to fight the turbulence. You just go through it, and air is like fluid, right? So you just take it, and you don't fly if it's too severe. But yeah, that's why we check the weather. We check all of the briefings. We do the weather briefings, just to make sure that we don't hit the turbulence.
Сколько время занимает получить лицензию и стать частным пилотом?
Oh gosh, okay, so that's a good question. It took me a long time, because it was kind of on and off, right? I went through 3 flight instructors, but yeah, it takes about from 3 months to several years. It really depends on your budget, depends on your time, depends on your availability. So yeah, it's you can even do it as fast as 4 weeks if you go to US, and that's all you do for those 4 weeks. But it's a lot of information to get into your head.
Сколько стоит самолет?
Oh wow! So you can buy an airplane as low as $30,000, which will fly. Well, this one's roughly around 300,000 Canadian at this age. Brand new, the Diamond like this would cost around 700,000 and up. Well, let's see. Well, that one's over there, probably. That's a lot a lot more expensive if you take a look at that airplane. so yeah, it's it depends on your budget, depends on how much you're willing to spend. But yeah, it's the good airplane. If you want a flyable airplane, you should spend roughly $120,000 and up. So like a sports car, pretty much.
And last question. Какая мечта у пилота?
Oh, I guess for okay, so a lot of pilots have different dreams, right? So mine is owning my own airplane someday, right? So I don't have to rent them anymore. So I guess that would be my dream. Some private pilots dream about just becoming an airline pilot, which I think today is not really so much of a dream anymore, because there's not a lot of airliners that are flying. So yeah, it truly depends on the person, right? It truly depends on the pilot. So.
Thank you so much. It's good day. It's good plane. It's good friends. It's good people.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for flying with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
So now we're going to do a workaround. We need to check the documents, make sure that the last entries for the service are good. The plane was just, there was just oil change done right now, so we're flying on the first hour of the oil change, so everything else is good to go. All the original documents are in place, so document check is complete. Now we're going to go through checklist. I got some exercise. Okay, so now we do the checklist. Finish. Weather and density, altitude, we got it. Weather is perfect. Weight and balance we're going to do. Flight plan we need to file. Papers are good. The extinguisher. Get the back in the green. That's good. Right. Battery's on. Okay, so we're going to check the lights. We're going to check the pitot heat as well. Okay, so once we do that, I'm going to check this wing. The lights are working. Not that we need them, but it's always a good idea to check that lights are good. Okay, so lights are good on this side. Check this side. Okay, lights are good on this side. I'm checking the pitot heat to make sure it's heating up. So it is heating up right now. You can kind of feel it if you want. This is what's called a pitot that allows us to know what the airspeed is. So you need to check for the heat. Right, so now checking the fuel gauge, make sure it's full, and that's good. Right, battery is off. Okay, so now we're gonna check the exterior. So I usually start from the front. So checking the prop, make sure prop has no dings. So make sure this doesn't travel. No, prop is good. So checking the inlets, make sure nothing is there. So we got the winter kit installed. Winter kit is good. So this will give us a warmer oil temperature. Okay, so filters and then exhaust is good. Landing gear is good. Okay, awesome. Now we check, make sure the rivets are all in place. Okay, rivets are good. Alright, so this is very nice. And 1 second, let me get back. Let me get the fuel strainer. One thing that, oh, you can stay there if you want. I'll be back. Okay, so, and we need a fuel strainer. That's when we're gonna check fuel for contamination. So that's one thing that we need for sure. Okay, so now just quickly glance at the undercarriage, make sure it's all good. Nothing is okay. So there's the winter kit here for the internal air. That's excellent. We're gonna make sure that it's not. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Okay, all good. All right. So what we're checking, the fuel has to be clear blue. So once again, to the white, yeah, it's clear blue. So if water is in the tanks, it will go down. So you'll see the water. So fuel is good. Okay, so checking the undercarriage. We'll get back to this one a bit later. Now we're gonna check the stall horn. So this is really weird, but you have to do this.
Nice.
Yeah, COVID measures. Yeah, so we're checking that. I call it screaming duck. We're checking that it's good to go. All right. Now we need to check the fuel. Okay, so we got the full fuel tanks.
It's full, yeah?
Yeah,
Tank is full, yeah.
Yeah,
It's good.
it's full, yeah. Okay, so just making sure that no particles of ice will enter. Perfect. Just overall checking the condition of the wing. Rock the wing a little bit. That's good. So now I'm checking for the pitot tube, making sure it's not obstructed. So nice. And there gives the lights. We check the lights. Now I'm going to check for the ailerons to make sure that they're traveling perfectly fine. That the bolts are not in place. Very important. Okay. Then check the flaps. We didn't retract them. Some people retract them. I'd rather keep them in place. We'll retract them later. You know what? Might as well. I'll do it. Just in case. We did have some ice. I just want to make sure that there's no ice buildup. There we go. So now we're checking the flap. That's called our left flap. So all travel is good. Here it's good to go, cleaned up. Okay, over there full. Alright, so there's nothing obstructed here. Gonna check the landing gear. Landing gear is good. There's no brake fluid. It's not leaking. That's good. Antennas are good. This is a COM 1, COM 2 antenna. Perfect. Okay. So now we're gonna check the stabilizers. Leading edge is good. We have some travel here. That's good. That's perfect. Excellent. Gonna check for bolts. Make sure they're all in place. And then it's all secure. Okay. Now we're checking the cables. Making sure that the cable system is good to go. There's nothing out of the ordinary. Perfect. That's all good to go. This is what's called a trim. Good. Okay. Getting lots of bits of ice out of the way. So same thing. I usually check for landing gear once again. Here, okay, landing gear is good. Tire pressure is okay. Awesome. Tire pressure is good. All right. We got fuel tanks.
It's second tanks, yeah.
Yeah, full tanks. Yeah, we always need full tanks.
Good.
So we will roll the weight down. Now it's kind of going this way. Right. There we go, so no water. So water usually settles down, so that's good. No water is here. And now it's draining at the bottom. So the same thing. We're checking for water. Yeah, all good. We have to dump it because I don't have a filter that goes down. Alright, so exhaust is good. Exhaust is good. And then the last thing we're gonna check the oil quantity. So you may come around this side. So
Yeah.
Disconnect the feeder. This is the electric plug here. You can stay out. Okay, so now I just get the plug in the way. So now I'm gonna remove my gloves. We'll just quickly check for the oil. So minimum is 4 quarts. No, oil was just changed, so oil should be very nice. So there it is.
Oh
It's
my
at
God,
6.
It's too clean, yeah.
Yeah, it's
good,
at 6. Yeah, very
I love
good.
it, yeah.
Okay, so there's no condensation, nothing, so oil is good. And we gotta make sure we don't twist it. So it has to be like just slightly, not too tight. Because when engine warms up, this heats up and it's gonna be then impossible to unscrew. So just like this. And now we gotta make sure that the change is close this thing. Okay, it's closed. That's pretty much the walk around. The walk around is complete. The aircraft's in perfect condition. We're ready to fly.
Good job.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Alright, I'll get the cable on. We don't have wind today, that's awesome. So we're probably gonna take off, looks like from runway 33 over there. That's where the traffic is lining up. So that's our default runway for this airport. And yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's excellent. We're not gonna hit any turbulence, it's gonna be very smooth. So you're gonna enjoy it. There you
thank
go. Awesome, we're ready to go.
Where my flight?
Alright. So looks like we're good to go.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Oh my God.
So now, do you know your weight approximately? Примерно сколько ты весишь?
90 килограмм.
90, отлично.
А ты?
Окей. 94. Окей.
Хорошо, 91.
No, it's okay. Okay, we just gotta make sure. Okay, I'll put 95. I'll put 92 just to be safe. Настя, ты сколько? Okay, so we're here. We're gonna fly here, do a couple of circles, and then come back. Should be a relatively short hop.
Sounds good.
And you know that should be good. Okay. Sure that I don't forget anything. All right, so you know how to operate the seat belts. It's just like the car. You just push on a red button. You know, it's good. So you're adjusted. So yeah, make sure you don't touch anything, right? So like the rudders, nothing, right, like that. So none of these controls. This is very important. Make sure this is clear for me. So yeah, those are very critical. None of the switches, please. All right, so environmental control is good. So in case of a discomfort, if you feel sick, let me know. You know, usually today is going to be a nice day, so you won't feel sick. But in any case, just let me know, you know, and we'll take care of it. So there's no smoking on this aircraft, according to regulations. I have to tell you that. All right, and fire extinguisher is at the back. It's right here. So we just tell on the stage to reach for it, or you just reach for it there. So in terms of operating the doors, this aircraft has what's called a canopy. So in case of unscheduled landing that we didn't intend, right? You just take this, you pull it like this, and then you push up. All right.
Yep.
So Anastasia already knows how to operate the back doors, so that's all good. So you just have to do the same thing, but the doors open a little bit differently. But she's already aware of how to do it. All right, doors and windows, okay, good. Emergency kit is at the back. So in terms of the emergency evacuation, so in case of, once again, unscheduled landing, we will definitely land this aircraft, no problem.
So, you know, once we land it in an intended field, what I would want you to do is I want you to get out of an aircraft and then walk to the back of the aircraft. So don't walk to the front, okay? Just make sure you walk at the back. So this is we call ELT. Please don't touch it. But this is what's called an emergency located transmitter. So this basically it's automatically deployed in case, you know, airframe is damaged. But in any case, this is something that will turn on if need to. So in terms of the traffic, I want you to spot the traffic, please, because this is a very busy airport. So if you see something, if you see an airplane like with this distance, that is extremely dangerously close, you yell traffic. This right now is 1 o'clock. You say traffic 1 o'clock. Okay. Or so think of this as like a clock, right? So that's 12 o'clock, that's 9 o'clock, that's 3 o'clock, right? So if you see something, if you see an aircraft that I don't see, just let me know right away. Or you can just yell it out, like be like, hey, you know, or point at it, okay? Or just say, you know, 11 o'clock traffic, right?
Yep.
So not that I'm not gonna see it, I'm gonna obviously use my ears and I'm gonna listen, but sometimes, you know, things happen when aircraft don't have like they have problems with the radio, and sometimes you might not hear them, and I might not have that mental picture of that aircraft, and they might just appear out of nowhere that I wouldn't see, right? Because I would be looking to the left, right? Say if there's aircraft approaching to the right, you let me know. Okay, so in terms of talking, whenever I am doing critical phases, so taking off, or when I'm gonna raise my finger like this, means that I'm talking to the air traffic control. So just make sure that you know, two of you would stop what you're talking about, and just let me make sure that I can hear the air traffic control and respond appropriately. And in terms of the takeoffs and landings, yeah, just keep it sterile. You can ask me questions once we're airborne, but yeah, please don't ask me questions whenever I'm like, because I need to be very cautious in terms of you know, monitoring the instruments. So that's as far as the passenger briefing. All right, so we're good to go. You guys are pretty much ready to go. All right, perfect. Okay, so ELT is armed. That's confirmed. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna taxi there, and we're just gonna do a run up. So things like what those other aircraft were doing. Okay, so ELT is armed. Hubs. So now we're gonna record the hubs. So I'm gonna get my scratch pad. I'm gonna create a new entry. So I'm gonna use this pen to draw. So our hubs meter right now is 1070.8. Time down. Okay, so this is basically like a that's how many hours is on this aircraft. So 1070.8. So that's how we get billed for the rental. Okay, so 1070.8. Okay, that's good. That's recorded. So I'm just gonna make sure I got all the frequencies right. So 1 to 4.8. That's Buttonville. So I'm just gonna write it down. And then 118.2. That's the tower that we're gonna call for Billy Bishop. And I'm gonna double check that in the CFS. Just you know, like courtesy. Okay, so there we go. 118.2. That's the tower. That's who we're gonna call before reaching the zone. Okay, perfect. All right, so pedals is adjusted. Fuel to the fullest tank. So left tank. Circuit breakers are good, so nothing popped out. All circuit breakers are all good. There we go. Perfect. Alternate air is closed. Rear right door is closed. Brakes and pedals are tested. Okay, so we got the pressure. Perfect. All right, on to the start checklist. Canopy is locked. Okay, your side is locked, right?
Yes.
So, the only thing is we need to. That's okay. Okay, avionics is off. Okay, so there's these guys on the right. That's good. Prop set to higher PM, confirmed. Prop area is clear. Prop area is clear. And we're gonna just gonna let this guy pass, and then we're gonna turn on. Oh, actually, that's fine. We're gonna turn on the engine. I'm just gonna yell it out for these guys. Okay, battery's on. Okay, so we'll just make sure that it's good to go. Annunciator test. Okay, annunciator is tested. Fuel pumps on. Okay, fuel pumps on. Okay, throttle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got positive fuel flow. That's good. Fuel pumps off. Okay, throttle is slight. Clear! Okay, there we go. Okay, now we're gonna tune it back to 1000 RPM right here. That's good. So we got a good positive start. Okay, ignition sign, switch, oil pressure. Okay, we're gonna check oil pressure. Oil pressure's in the green. Alternator's on. So amps are going up, volts are going up. Perfect. Lights is required, mixer is required. So we're gonna set the position and taxi. Okay, that's good. So pre-taxi seatbelts are good. Flaps tested. So we're gonna test the flaps. Okay, flaps operating synchronously, all good. Perfect, flaps are tested. Alright, fuel test the other tank. Okay, tank number 2, fuel flow is good. Heat vent defrost good, pipe conveyors released, cabin is on. Okay, avionics is on, now we can put our headsets. Where's your headsets, by the way? Okay, perfect. Check. All right, make sure you can hear me. Okay, so let's gauge this one. It's gauged. It's good. Altimeter, mixer. Just double check the wind.
Roger, flight 807, maintaining 15,000.
Good. Control course, такой hand. Это у нас было плюс 171.5. Окей, мы, получается, 0.7 летали.
А сколько минут? 10 минут, да? Летали?
Но мы летали, кстати, по-моему,
30 минут, да? А, ну я,
что мы делали-
я не к тому, мне это показалось как целый день, я просто потому что обычно, когда, ну как тебе сказать, если какой-то адреналин и какой-то такой эксайтинг, то, знаешь, одна минута кажется как час.
Ну да, это точно.
Теперь можно вздохнуть.
Да.
Самое страшное было в начале и время на адаптацию надо. Ну это такие нормальные вещи.
Дай Настюх
да?
телефон.
Да, конечно.
Вы сейчас будете еще лететь?